Chapter 45. I sprint up the cliff to the best artillery expert we have. Behind me, fiery flowers bloom in the midst of our encampments, forcing the remaining men away from their cots and their weapons. Already, a layer of cloying black smoke covers the stars. White tents and piles of supplies are set ablaze by the fire, and no one is foolish enough to try and stop it. The air is thick with soot and the unsettling aroma of cooking meat. I left the mages and Dalton behind a ridge at the border of the village, and I believe they are safe, for now. The rest of our troops, not so much. I find Loth and his steam armor at the gate of the fortress. From afar he looks like a machine, no, a golem of unstoppable power. The glowing runes on his chest reflect those I saw on his skin on the fateful day he confronted his family. His visor clicks twice. Hey lass. Funny thing, we are being bombarded. I noticed. Are those mortars? How do I destroy them? Those ain't mortars, lass. Those are artillery spells. What? Read about those. Incredibly rare. Takes a crew of 3 spellcasters working together to operate one, and it can get pretty draining. I don't understand. Why did they not use those today? Isaac appears from behind us, announcing his arrival with his disciplined aura. A good question, Ariane, one we can answer later. Did you find those teams? There was only one on this side of the shore. They are dead. Yes indeed, likely a distraction for the setup. Now the mages are quite likely firmly entrenched and waiting on you, my dear. I will go. We should. What? Are you certain? Yes. They have always relied on the same strategy. Mortals are not the only one who can adapt. Loth? I have them, and I'm coming too. I have a score to settle. I do not believe, says Isaac. They burnt my fucking house. The flames reflect ominously on Loth's polished plates. The fact that he is almost half again my size makes him intimidating. I like that. Alright, I'll get the mages and Dalton, and then we're going. Very well. We will reform the lines and advance immediately. Oh, and Ariane, do be careful. With a quick nod, we descend into the plain and pick up the rest of our group on the way. Most of the magical shells are landing on what is left of the camp behind us, and so for a while, we will be relatively safe. This will change soon, however, as drums and trumpets sound the muster of the troops. It appears that our foe will attempt an attack. I thought nobody fought during the night, I remark as we make our way on the remains of today's battlefield, weaving between corpses and discarded equipment. Look behind, answers Loth. I do. Numerous fires dot the landscape. With the bodies around, we step into a hellscape that would equal a Bosch painting, were it not for the lack of demons. So? I forgot, sorry. Visibility is perfect here. Those pricks can just show up at the edge of the camp and shoot down anyone trying to retrieve their gear while they stay under the cover of the dark. It's perfect for them. And here is why they patiently waited until night, so that our men would be unarmed and asleep. Devious. I stopped the men behind the remains of a dead horse to eliminate a sentry. With the light of the inferno at our back, my companions will appear as black silhouettes, and I cannot risk it. Finally, our little group finds relative safety under the cover of trees. Loth and I guide the rest through thickets, and our attempts at discretion appear doomed when it becomes obvious that our spellcasting allies are not the athletic type. They trudge through the undergrowth like gravid longhorns. Their breath is like a forge's bellows. I admit that I have an unfair advantage, but Dalton trails me without too much difficulty, while even Merritt is red and sweaty. By contrast, Loth is eerily quiet even in his massive suit. They are starting to look tasty. No worry, remember, no eating our allies. They haven't even proved their usefulness yet. When we reach the other side of the small forest, we get our first view of the enemy camp and its occupants. Soldiers are joining formations in front of their tents, harried by angry officers. I cannot fail to notice the tense faces, the bandages, the hungry looks. These men are not the heart of ascendancy, they are the normal soldiers brought on a senseless adventure by corrupt men. They probably wonder why they are here at all, questioning the wisdom of their leadership. I smell weakness. I smell despair and the cohesion fraying at the edge. They are ripe for the slaughter, but it will not come by my hand. My prey is another, one who I have been looking forward to face for a long time. Are we there yet? Wheezes the bald midge. Perhaps if he spent less time worrying about hygiene and more time moving his hairless self around, he would not look like the rear end of a baboon right now. No. Follow. Useless. We trail along the edge of the clearing. Fortunately, most sentries are distracted by the preparations behind them and we make good time without being spotted. We soon arrive at the artillery emplacement by following the smoke trails to their origin. I have assisted Loth countless times and even I am impressed by their setup. The battery is situated at the top of a small hill, in the center of a vast circle of naked ground. No trees will provide covers for anyone approaching, on any side. The installation itself is heavily fortified with dug trenches where men are lying in wait. Smaller cannons are pointed outward, their servants ready to fire on any incoming enemies. Protective circles and the tantalizing aura of wizards lay everywhere. At the highest points, I can see groups of mages working around stubby artillery pieces that look as much as mortars as pieces of art. Their brassy surfaces shine lightly in the darkness with the smoldering red of burning embers, and the surfaces of the barrels are carefully engraved with rows upon rows of vicious runes. Scarred guns. Burger work. Adds Loth helpfully. They look expensive. They are. You are looking at enough gold to equip a ship of the line here. I have no idea how much a ship of the line would even cost, nor do I care. It is enough to realize that Ascendancy went all in on this operation. We should circle around. Both Loth and Dalton look worried. There is no doubt in my mind that this place is fortified in every direction, and those look mighty indeed. I should be able to survive a direct approach. Loth may also, though probably not unharmed. The mortals will be turned to mincemeat. They will have to support us from afar, if at all. Silently enough we turn around until we are situated almost behind them. The pirate fortress is directly in front of us, visible as a dark patch above the tree line, while to our left, the lights of the Ascendancy camp shine fiercely. Far away and to the front, fires dot the night, and with the air distorted by the heated air, it sometimes looks like a whole city has been set ablaze. Our target lays directly in front of us, so close I could shoot the head off their soldiers. Even being in their back, I can still see at least one field gun aimed backwards, and we still have a large force of British behind us. There is also a curious magical construct at the edge of the field, something that pulsates softly like a beacon. Its touch is light and familiar, and I realize that it is attuned to me, and to me only. Only one man could achieve such a thing, and only one man would be brazen enough to take such a risk. Finally, the first shield breaker orb hits the barrier protecting the 12-pounder aimed outward, a courtesy for Loth and Dalton. The lead gunner barely has the time to widen his eyes in surprise before I remove his head. The second orb hits the circle around one of the mortars, and the mage powering the defenses screams in pain as I kill her two companions. Then the trap snaps closed around me. The broken circle reactivates and turns silver. All of the other casters interrupt their firing with swear words and add their might to my prison. Hidden in the center of the hill, men with swords and silvery shields surge forward, forming around the one they are tasked to protect. A very familiar redhead in a green dress walks towards me with majesty in her steps and a sneer on her face. So kind of you to join us, vampire. Belinda. You remember my name. I hope you do not expect me to be impressed. After all, your kind has always been better at reminiscing rather than coming up with new ideas. The assembled mages look at me with a mixture of fear and relief. A motley bunch of different ages, both male and female, they are brought together by their expensive-looking red dresses, seemingly made out of some kind of dyed leather. They gawk like children seeing a wolf behind bars. They know it can kill, just as they know that it will never shatter the cage. Despite the shimmering runes around me, the most primitive part of their brains is still pushing them to run. They should have taken the chance when they had it. This time, I am wearing all my gear except my mask, because I am not here to intimidate but to captivate. The men and women arrayed against me ogle my face, my nose, my lips, expecting it to be ripped open to expose the monster beneath, perhaps. It will not happen. Yes, the blonde girl before you is the cause of the slaughter at your feet. See the bodies. See my dagger and claws still coated in her blood. It really is me, no matter how hard it is to reconcile with your expectations. Belinda steps a few feet away from the containment as a statement of power, and of trust in herself and her abilities. I mirror her and we stand only a few feet away. She takes her time to inspect me while I drink in her presence. She is a mature beauty with large inquisitive eyes and an aristocratic face with barely a hint of crow's feet. Instead of detracting from her charm, it only shows that her confidence is born from experience rather than birth, an impression reinforced by her impeccable posture. The difference with Merit is striking, I notice in passing. The poor girl looks like an overgrown street urchin by contrast. When she is done with her own inspection, our eyes meet and she flinches but holds. She has an amulet protecting her mind, I can tell, and I do not even try to charm her through the barrier. There is no need. You look meeker than I expected. 10 years ago, or if she had caught me off guard, I may have lost my composure. Instead, I slowly turn to the side and walk slowly along the edge of my prison. Then I bend down and her smile falters when I pull up the moaning form of the one surviving mage, the one in charge of the shield. Why don't you tell me what happens next while I enjoy this hors d'oeuvre? She opens and closes her mouth like a beached fish as I casually pull aside the leather coat of the woman I hold, denuding her shoulder. I recognize the glyphs around me. They are quite resilient and in return, quite inflexible as well. It would be nigh impossible to break the trap from within and at the same time, they cannot reach me. Only sound and light may pass, everything else would be stopped, even the air. That means that as long as this prison stays inviolate, so will I. The girl I devour is short and a bit pudgy, with rosy cheeks and a bob haircut. I cannot risk the loss of focus that comes with a normal feeding, but I drag and enjoy the process for as long as I can. This allows me to maintain eye contact with dearest Belinda and enjoy the impotent rage boiling under the frozen mask she has donned. She and her companions deprived me of a potential vessel. It is only fair that I share the distress they imposed so callously. When I am done, she still hasn't spoken, so I decide to needle her a bit. It is obvious from her inner struggle that she cared about her sister and craft. Palatable, if a bit rustic, I say as I drop the corpse unceremoniously. Ah, delicious, delicious anger. Her voice shakes with fury and sorrow. Magnificent. And it was so easy as well. You will stay here until dawn while we defeat your allies, and when it comes, I will enjoy your screams of pain while the purifying sun turns your unholy flesh to cinders. My, are we getting a bit emotional perhaps? You are too full of yourself, vampire. She spits the term as if it were an insult. You parasites are things of the past. This is the age of enlightenment. You will be left behind with the rotten temples and the insane superstitions. We will cleanse this world of all the freaks and curses our own ancestors unleashed upon us. Even this predictable resistance of yours is just the swan song of a dying era. You just went after us again and again in exactly the same way, and your insane strength only carried you so far. You fought like a mad beast until you fell into our trap, and now, I will put you down like one. While she was talking, 3 suspicious hooting sounds came from around the hill. I need all eyes fixed upon me, so I lean down against my dearly departed breakfast and unlatch her gauntlet, which I slowly fasten around my own wrist. My own armor leaves the talons free, and this would be quite painful. You are bluffing. You are not a mage. They instinctively all take a step back, which I find amusing considering that this formation around me would hold a mage with even more ease than it holds me. Oh no, this is not for spell casting. This is for isolation. I take the last of the 3 orbs Loth managed to create this evening and push it against the shield. Now this is not an actual spell, it is a construct in the same way that the circle around me is a construct. When the 2 clash, angry bolts of blue weave and dance like furious snakes. Belinda screams and holds her own glove as we push each other, but the barrier is meant to contain and the breacher is meant to pierce it. It is like pushing a needle away with one's bare hand. It also hurts me atrociously. I do my best to keep the ball in place, but it is so very painful I cannot even feel the tip of my fingers. I grit my teeth in silence. Only cold resolve and a healthy dose of pride prevent me from dropping the abominable thing where it stands. Hurts. Damn it. Allied mages form around Belinda, adding their strengths to her. The breacher glows red in my hand and I let it go before the bloody thing turns my fingertips into charcoals. It hurts. I am clamping my jaw so that I do not scream. It takes a good 2 seconds before Belinda realizes that the cry of pain she hears around her are not my work. One moment, 2 rings of men in compact formation devote their entire attention to the monster in their midst. Next the hill turns into a giant melee as Muskogee in garish colors and Choctaw warriors in leather crash into them with unbridled fury. Ululating war cries blare through the night in a glorious cacophony, supported by insane war drums. Fire arrows land on unarmored chests. Magical white trails from our own team hit shields with keening sounds as tomahawks, sabers and bayonets hack into flesh with desperate abandon. But we are not facing weaklings. Belinda reacts immediately. She steps back onto the cover of 2 of her comrades and though it is weakened, the barrier holds. Even if in the middle of such chaos, she knows that letting me go is the worst thing that can happen. That is why she doesn't flinch when a blue disrupting spell hits her own, though her frown only grows. When a massive crossbolt obliterates the chest of the man next to her, she still doesn't relent. I am impressed though it is, of course, all in vain. From behind, I hear a stomping sound that increases in intensity with each passing second. The heavy impact is such that even in the deafening din of battle, some heads turn in wonder. Then the sounds stop. And coming from above, a roaring steel titan descends 2 glowing gauntlets on my prison. The barrier does not break, it explodes. Belinda is propelled backward, as well as quite a few combatants from both sides. I raise my hands in a protective gesture until the shockwave disperses. When I raise them up I meet Loth's goofy smile. Damn lass, it's been too long. Yeah. And then he is gone. Unfortunately, a swarthy mage managed to drag Belinda behind a circle at the center of the hill, the last refuge I presume, in case things go wrong. Those who can, join it and soon a green shield pushes back arrows and thrown axes. I, however, am running in the other direction. A thing of the past I am. Left behind. I run into my vassal who looks a tad worried and I realize I am laughing maniacally. Mistress? Still laughing I find what I was looking for and get to work. Inside the last stand shield, 2 mortar pairs form hands while the shield holders are pushed back by native warriors. They raise their arms in unison. Inferno. Choctaws and Muskogees cringe in terror from the incoming wall of flame, however the blistering heat never reaches them. The war drums reach a crescendo and jade-colored tortoise scale appear around the shield, stopping the blast instantly. As the enemy mages stare in surprised horror, their defenses are pummeled by a bloodthirsty Dvergr warlord and long-range shield disruptors from our own team of mages. I almost hope it will take long enough as I am almost done. Predictable and always using the same tactics, huh? I stop mere feet away from the battle line. The warriors in front of me widen their eyes and flee to the side as they see what stands behind them. Belinda was looking around the battlefield for me. Our eyes cross and her pretty mouth form an O of surprise. It mirrors the gaping maw of the captured 12-pounder facing her beautifully. Embrace modernity, you hussy. I ignite the prime charge. The gun vomits its payload in a sonorous deflagration. The grape shot breaks the defenses like stones through a flimsy window. I see Belinda fall and the native warriors surging ahead, brushing aside all opposition. Oof. I was so incensed I forgot the recoil and I'm actually pushed back by the moving wheel and slapped to the side. Ooh, oh my poor breast. Can't even massage it properly through the armor. Ow. 2 heavy boots land before me and Dalton helps me to my feet. He watches me rub myself where it hurts. Perhaps the timing is ill-chosen, mistress? I hiss and move forward. Loth is a bad influence on him. Now is not the time though. I would like to enjoy the fruits of my labor. I find the red-haired witch on the ground. From the waist up, she is her gorgeous self. From the waist down, I would say crushed raspberry. I kneel by her side and pull her head down more comfortably. Her panicked eyes search for mine, as I knew they would, eventually. We will never be in the past, because we are, and will always be, you. I bite down. Delicious. Extraordinary. With the screams of the dying in the background, victory at last. Vengeance. Challenge answered and insults paid back in full. I am reminded of the first time I tasted a werewolf, back in the Lancaster arena. Ah, but what a wondrous fragrance, and this power. Wonderful. Nashoba joins us looking a bit tired. At the front, Loth is walking down back toward the crackles and pops we hear in the distance. Ah yes, the night is not done, is it? I jump over the line of warriors, eliciting some shouts. To my side, Loth's face is just a bloody rictus and his eyes glint madly with red reflections. We do not need to share words. Led by their war leaders, the natives walk down the slope leading to the battlefield where red and blue troops are fighting for supremacy. We do not go through the forest this time, but directly to them, from behind. With Loth at the forefront, the walk turns into a trot. We are carried on the wings of victory. We tread on the corpses of the vanquished on our way here, and the next to know death are in front, just around the bend. I lose myself in the breath and heartbeats of men running by my side, flush with bloodlust, the maddened smiles and the predatory postures. Fresh blood and sweats. Maniacal laughs. A stolen memory of the smell of heated scent caresses my nose. I can almost feel the desert wind on my skin, dry, hot, and clean. The morning sun kisses my skin and the clamor and songs around me celebrate the greatest city that ever was, and the queen that led it to glory. This is where we are meant to be. Here at the head of the army. With the wheels of our chariots crushing bones and our spears biting flesh. Let the sentinels follow us to victory. We are at the front, as is fitting, and will claim the first blood. We cannot be stopped. We are without match. And we are without mercy. The men in red see us, hear us, they form a square to stop our onslaught. A hopeless attempt. Hold rank, lads, those are just men. Just normal men. Foolish mortal. Semiramis Hylu Sultanus. The mortals do not understand the ancient war cries, but they follow anyway. There is no turning back from the charge. I breach their line first, headed straight for their prince. The titan of mountain and steel smashes into them second, like a great sod. His glorious bellow deafens their ears while he sends the foes toppling like broken toys. The prince lowers something at me from his horse. Courage in the face of death, admirable but ultimately futile. I slam him on the ground and take his head with a mighty swing. I give it for all to see, so no one doubts where the tide of battle goes. The men in red break rank. Pathetic. Your wives and sisters will shed tears tonight. Roar! I blink. All around me, the ordered world of what is right collapses into the chaos that battle truly is. I realize I am holding a captain's severed head, still covered with a hat. I appear to have been slightly carried away. Ascendancy's borrowed infantry has disintegrated. Their rout is complete and even the officers are running for their lives. Soldiers drop their weapons to run faster, with the native warriors on their trails. Farther away, the line is retreating somewhat coherently under the onslaught of Strand's regulars. A cursory glance does not reveal the herald and his towermage, though they should have been here, somewhere. I am concerned, deeply concerned by what just happened. Those memories came from Master, I am sure of it. I knew my bloodline would affect how I think, not what I remember. Is this the result of our bond, and will it disappear once I gain my full independence, or is it fully a part of me now? My worries last but for a second before the cold part of my mind covers it, settles it. It does not change anything. It will remain a part of me for the foreseeable future, and no one can change that. And what a part it was. Human Ariane could have had children and a suntan, but I got to charge at the head of a host of bloodthirsty warriors like Boudica or the legendary Amazons, so there. I was able to let go, and it was glorious. Now there are still 2 persons I need to find, the herald and his bodyguard. They were nowhere to be found. I did not even see their tent in the British camp, now abandoned. I returned to our own to find men in the middle of raucous celebrations. Avoiding the crowd, I walked to Venet's side of the camp, where order and discipline are always maintained, and soon reached the command tent. Isaac and his second are present, and so are Nashoba, the mages, Dalton and Loth, the last one passably drunk. They look preoccupied except Loth, who just looks plastered. "Ah, there you are. Any news?" says Isaac, at the head of the table. "I could not find the herald." "Ah, you were gone looking for him, I see. A thoughtful decision. I will let Nashoba speak on this matter." The shaman looks exhausted and more than a little annoyed. He scolds me as if I were his little sister. "As I was about to tell you before you jumped forward like a pouncing wolf, the future is clouded. I cannot see past this junction, and this conflict is therefore not over. We must prepare." "Wait, I thought we broke their backs?" I continue in English. "We did, Milady. We killed or captured almost 400 men, and that is more than half of their effective strength. They are neutralized as a land-based fighting force," answers Venet, "but they have ships. They might decide to burn Black Harbor to the ground, then send search parties after all is smoke and ruin if they so desire." I turn to Loth in surprise. "I thought he was an effective deterrent?" "I don't look at me, lass, I'm just one man and they got a lot of ships. They have 3 more frigates, and if they play it carefully, there isn't much I can do." "Do you believe this is their plan? And how do you know how many ships they have at their disposal?" "An attack by the sea is the most likely, Milady. As for the frigates themselves, we pursued the survivors to a creek 2 miles up north. They were loaded aboard transports, and covering fire from 3 of their warships prevented us from overrunning their position. I suspect that the Herald is already on board, and that it is via this cove that they were able to deploy the elite which squad you took down tonight without us scouting them beforehand." "I see. I would be of little use in an artillery duel, I note." Venet shakes his head. "Not as such, though there is still much we can do with your help, Milady. We will relocate our guns towards the sea before dawn. I understand that you already participated in a night boarding action?" I wince. "And we will count again on." Venet is interrupted by one of his men lifting the flap of the tent with visible excitement. "Sir, I think you'll want to see this." We'll exit to see a British ship moored in the harbor and a rowing boat heading to the pier, well lit by lanterns. At its head, a man holds a white flag. "So do you mind if I ask you a question? I am currently cleaning every part of my armored gown, a task that is normally a moment of calm and contemplation." "What is it, Merritt? Do you have to go to the loo?" "Ah. So that is it. I now understand why we were sent, these 3 specifically. The headmage wisely chose casters of respectable magical capabilities so he could not be accused of sabotaging the operation. At the same time, he used this opportunity to get rid of the most mentally inept and those whose habits placed them firmly at the bottom of the barrel, socially. I had noticed that Langdon is awake perhaps 2 hours while I am active, and his companion has been scrubbing himself raw in a bathtub for the past hour and a half. I was expecting Merritt to be at the losing side of a political play, but no, oh no, she is just a raging imbecile. I delicately place my brush on the small workshop in front of me, drop the now clean plate next to the other and turn towards her. I am contemplating whether or not I should plant a massive do not disturb sign at its entrance with the witch's head firmly shoved on top it. That would be a good deterrent. She still isn't moving. I turn towards her in what I hope to be a firm rebuttal. "I beg your pardon. You know, you drink blood, right? So it's single quotes, you gotta go somewhere, right? It's the only conclusion. You know that conservation of mass and energy does not apply to magic, right? But I tried to find a spell that stops peeing for years. How can you just do it naturally? Gah! Shouldn't you be, I don't know, somewhere else? Don't you want to unwind a bit? Dalton doesn't want company. Loth? Here, 2 bird brains with 1 stone. Dalton is helping Venet's men, so I couldn't ask. and Love left with the laundry girls, her eyes widen in awe, all three of them. Battle always gets his blood pumping. And you came to me for? Yes. A lady moment. With two ladies. Where is your friend then? The insult does not even register. Her face scrunches in concentration until a deep realization comes upon her tax mind. I need to pee. Wonderful. Don't let the flap hit you on your way out. I cannot really stay irate for any length of time. Merit might be a strange one, but she is a potential source of knowledge on the factions of the new continent and someone I may be able to add to my circle, one way or another. Although I may not have accepted Isaac's proposal officially, I obviously need to. My presence has been noticed by dozens of people and the repercussions of a significant land battle will be felt for months to come. I lost my haven, and I will be hunted down unless I manage to find shelter, and there is no better shelter than the ancient and respectable house of the Rosenthal. I am packing my cleaning oil and the last of my throwing daggers when Dalton knocks on one of the stone posts to announce his arrival, although we both know I do not need it. Ah, manners. Come in. My vassal looks thoroughly exhausted but otherwise healthy. You should rest. I will. Just one thing. Colonel Strand contacted us. He says the Redcoats want to discuss terms tomorrow evening. Evening. Dalton nods. His large amber eyes twinkle in the candlelight. They know who defeated them. I would expect them to avoid us. You and Isaac will be the ones to decide anyway, in the end. Will we? Will I? I am only here to make sure the key of Beria stays contained. Isaac involves me in the decision-making process because I am our greatest weapon against their elite mages. Or does he? I should try to make a demand on occasion. I have refrained so far because he and Venet have things well in hand. Now though, I am curious. How important am I? I will seek him. Now go to sleep. Right away. As for me, I will seek Isaac. We need to align before tomorrow. Chapter 46. Instead of asking me to wait, Venet's two sentries bow smartly and lift the flap of the command tent. I find Isaac sitting at a desk busy making notes, and he stands up as soon as I enter. Ariane of the Nirari, a capital performance once again. It was a pleasure to see you at work. You saw. Indeed. A spectacle the likes of which I never thought I would witness. The way you tore through their ranks and slaughtered their officer corps in an instant. And brandishing that head was such a nice touch. HRM. Do not be embarrassed. Your actions broke our foes' spirits, and this is what we needed. Shock and all, not good manners and subtle threats. The right tool in the right situation, applied in measure. I knew you were the right woman for the task. Now, I have a request, but I can tell that you do have something to say. Please, tell me. I understand that we are to discuss terms tomorrow. Indeed. Strand and his counterpart, Colonel Ingram, will officially meet. I would like to make sure that we share the same goals and the same bottom line. Absolutely. How fortuitous. What I was about to ask is related. You see, I cannot attend tomorrow's negotiations. What? Venet estimates that there is a low chance that they will try to bombard our delegation on its way back, should no agreement be reached. I think this is silly, but I am already pushing it by being here. By a lot. I did mention it before, we are forbidden from participating in battles. I am going to be reprimanded on my return. In any case, with my absence, the leadership of the vampire faction falls upon you. Huh? I came here to make sure we got the Brotherhood off the old continent and to see how important I was. I did not expect to get such an immediate answer. You want me to be lead negotiator for our side. I would advise you to let Strand and Ingram do things on their end. We care little about prisoners and other terms. Otherwise yes, and why not? You have destroyed their installations over the last year, bought us time and gathered the auxiliaries that brought us victory tonight. I consider you a full partner in this endeavor, and what we care about is the key of Beria being under the custody of the consortium. He frowns with a hint of worry. We do agree about that last part, right? I have no interest in becoming the guardian of an eldritch artifact, Isaac. Just make sure you don't lose it this time. He laughs. Look at us, talking about that thing as if it were a ring of keys. In any case, you and Loth will be richly rewarded for your service. Just like every crime against us is recorded, we Rosenthal never forget those who help us in our time of need. You already earned a significant monetary bonus, and we will deposit the sum of 500 francs on your account when the key is safely on its way to Geneva. I don't even know how much that is. Isaac leans forward as if he were about to deliver a juicy piece of gossip. Enough money to buy a mansion in the better part of Savannah. I see what you're doing. I would hope so. Have you given any thought to my proposal? Well, yes. Tell me, can you really protect me from my status as rogue? And from the Lancaster? Absolutely. As one of our assets here, you would not be a rogue, but an agent from a third-party organization under the Accords. Until you claim house status and therefore become a free agent, you will be under our protection. Only the Knights would be allowed to track you down, and they won't move unless you commit some serious offense, which, I must say, I cannot imagine you doing. Afterwards, the Lancaster will have a hard time proving that you are a danger when you have stayed in our employ for an extended period of time. Very well. I would like a written agreement between us that clearly states our terms. But of course, yes. We shall draft it on our way back to Savannah, if it is agreeable. It is. I was also wondering if the beaches are still under surveillance? Rest assured, I have men everywhere on the coast. They will not be able to land a search party without our cavalry detachment knowing about it. Now, if you don't mind, I would like us to work on the details for tomorrow's ordeal. I have prepared a list of conditions that represent our bottom line. For the next hours, Isaac briefs then drills me on negotiation practices and what terms are acceptable. One thing is certain, ascendancy is leaving this land. I step in Black Harbor village proper for the first time. Both armies mostly left the place alone and the inhabitants had been hiding. Now that rumors of peace abound, they leave their homes to watch us pass with curiosity. This is not much different from Clarkson Cove. The houses are made of wood and purely functional. The only adornments are glass trinkets or small decorations that hang about to give some personality to the otherwise dreary place. The inhabitants themselves have sullen tanned faces in mostly plain clothes. Colors are rare. So are young men. I assume that most of them are sailors in one capacity or another and that they left their children, sisters and parents at home. The assembled crowd is strangely silent. The presence of men in uniform is the likely cause for their nervosity. At least nobody is throwing stones. The delegation consists of Strand and a squad of 10 men, Vennet and 2 guards, Langdon and Culvert, a war chief named O'Killy for the native tribes, Dalton and myself. We each represent one of the factions on our side, with the 2 mages here as an additional safety. Loth stayed behind to work with the cannons, while Merritt was tasked to protect Isaac's camp against possible infiltrators. She complained about it vocally too. One of Strand's men casts a fearful glance backwards. It appears that rumors have started to spread. Our eyes meet and he shudders, turns around and crosses himself. His companion snorts with disdain, so my nature is not yet widely recognized. We soon arrive at the village's rickety piers. The Ascendancy delegation have chosen to mirror us, with a squad of soldiers in front and the herald and his towermage behind. The officer in charge is a short man in a powdered wig harboring an air of anger and arrogance. He takes a deep breath before ordering his group forward. The herald is a surprise for me. He does not look furious as I expected but instead, sorrowful. His brown eyes are darkened by exhaustion, though he wears a perfectly tailored ensemble in dark green that could be worn at the court of Queen Elizabeth. He shows me the thinnest smile, the kind that comes with grace and defeat. You came, vampire. Ingram turns to his charge in outrage. It appears that Ascendancy leaders are at odds, which isn't surprising when one considers the result of their campaign. You will let me have this conversation, then I will give you free rein to conduct the negotiations as you please, retorts the man calmly. The herald takes the time to study me. My own companions are obviously annoyed though they wisely decide to remain quiet. Such a pretty mask for such a dangerous thing. One would never think. And yet. Have you come here to pontificate? No, I wanted to say goodbye. Tell me, what of Belinda? She died well. I am surprised that he shows so much regret at those words. I always assumed that those two were associates, but it appears that their relationship went deeper. I see. I noticed that you left your towermage behind. I did. I know that your kind never breaks their word. We are ever forced to dance around you with ruse and tricks while you take us down with your might. An eternal game, if you will. Tell me, vampire, what do you know of the Key of Barrier? The non sequitur surprises me, though I try not to show it. What is his game? Even his allies consider him with worry. He should know that it is too late for that. If you are trying to bargain, know that. No, I am not. We both know this is the end. Just indulge me? I see Dalton frown from the corner of my eye and pick up on his tension. I agree, it looks like he is up to something, and yet his pain, his sorrow, those are not fake. I am sure of it. It does not belong here. The herald nods as if I were a student and he, a professor. The strangeness of the situation is starting to get to me. I just want this to be over with. I want him and his ilk to depart these lands and never return. I am not interested in a post-battle contest of wit, especially not with him. Yes, I assumed that you saw the drawing of the box, but you did not read the scholarly work on it. I did. And in all of them, I found the same thing. He lectures, cooperate, speak, receive, embrace. The same words, the same semantic field. I understood it then. The key is not just an artifact. It is alive. Just like your mysterious eye in the sky. What? Yes. And the next step was obvious. If it is conscious, if it is eager to share, then it wants to be found. No. No, move Ari, move. I need to kill him, but I should not. We are under the flag of truce. And then it is too late. From a recess in his vest, the herald removes a curved blue spike that cannot possibly fit inside, and the item swallows me. Just like the Watcher, it captivates, but this time I can feel something terrible within. This is the Key of Barrier, and he somehow found it first. The construct is wrong. It should not be here. It should never have been brought. So many depths, so many curves, inward and outward ad infinitum. Is there an end? I feel like the deeper meanings caress my consciousness with the siren call of knowledge, power, anything I want, if only I would let it. The man raises it. He should not. The key does not belong. The man raises it, still, and with a primeval scream of anguish, the world shatters. Impossible bonds curve up and down, but mostly out. They follow a shockwave that extends all over the village, and where it hits, people scream. Their cries speak of pure agony, a pain so powerful and so intimate that it defies description. I scream too. The tendrils of power pull on my very essence and find no purchase, but they follow Dalton's bond into my soul, and the tug of war for my essence is horrific. Pain, white-hot, blinding. Let me just die, please. And then, just as it had started, the scathing tendrils retract. Dalton, protected by me, stands before the keymaster. He removes a pistol from its sheath and shoots the man in the heart. The herald takes a painful breath, and the shock wave stops, reverses. All around us and deep into the houses, men, women, and children fall to the ground and stop moving. Filaments of the deepest blue emerge from the eldritch object and dig into the herald's body. He is lifted in the air by the mind-defying vitality and power. I cannot move. The pain has stolen my control away. No. I need to fight. I need to do it. I must help my vessel. I must help Dalton. One finger. Move one bloody finger. Come on. The horrible wound on my foe's chest heals before my very eyes. Faster than anything I have ever seen, or known to be possible. This was an engraved silver bullet. Dalton lifts his second gun with perfect calm. The world ending around us does not concern him. He pulls the trigger. The herald's forehead explodes and he falls back down spread eagle. Need to take the artifact from him. Must move. I want to tell him to run. Vassals should not have to defend their mistress, but I can't. I watch powerlessly as the gaping hole on the herald's head closes itself, the missing brain matter already replaced by sparkling blue light. The influx of power is simply too massive. No. Flee. He cannot hear me. Dalton sprints to the fallen man to wrestle the key away from it. Just as he closes in, the thing speaks. The nerve-wracking sounds pierce my ears as if a god were swearing against creation. Dalton claws his ears and falls forward. The monstrous form lifts a single hand. No. I do the only thing I can think of. I take a deep breath and scream. Oathbreaker. The herald's eyes are now burning with an otherworldly blue light. He is held aloft under some magical influence and blue bolts extend from his feet to the ground. The thunderous discharges dig deep furrows in the shore's packed hearth. Each one is echoed by the miserable screams of the prostrate forms surrounding him. When he speaks, his voice is mirrored by another one, much deeper. I care not, vampire. I am a mortal man, not bound to. Yes. His face twists in rage, then in pain. The ocean of power around him peters out. It is still there, but he can no longer control it. He is a magical being now. You harlot. You think you are so smart. He smiles again. Gone is the refined gentleman. The thing looking back at me is no longer human. It bends forward and picks up something from the dying colonel by his side. Oh no. No. Damn it, Ryan, move. As you took from me, so shall I take from you. He calmly lines up his shot. I finally manage to push myself up from the ground. He pulls the trigger. I know that sound well, the one of metal hitting flesh. Dalton does not cry. He lets out a small yelp of pain and clutches his chest. No. This is not happening. This is not happening at all. This is a nightmare. Some kind of prophetic dream. It can't be real. And the people around us are rising, moaning, yelling, a choir of the damned. I ignore the cackling form fleeing away from us, towards the forest. I crawl to Dalton. I can still save him. I can feel our bond. He is not dead. Protect the vassal. I am myself again. Pick him up, kick and push the screaming mass trying to shed his blood, trying to reclaim the essence stolen from them to stop the maddening pain. I sprint away from Venet, Strand, London, Culvert, the men who came here. I need to reach Loth. He is a bloody doctor, with some magic. He can save him. Definitely. I run and rush past children with their eyes gouged out, adults trying to rip their throats out with their own bare fingers. Those who smell follow with the fury of despair. I don't have the time. Loth is up in the fortress. Mistress. It's fine, he is still alive. If I hurry I can make it. Mistress, please. Loth is a miracle worker. Please, stop. No, I can't, I must go on, I must listen. I stop and jump at the top of the town's church, of all things. Gently, I lay him on the wooden roof. He is so pale, and his brow is wet with perspiration. His familiar amber eyes are now feverish, clouded. You'll be fine. I realize how stupid this is the moment the words cross my lips. He does not answer, but his face turns tender, filled with sympathy. I don't care about sympathy. Fuck sympathy, I want him with me. Please? No. No, you can't. You just rest now and Loth will save you. He will. He's a good surgeon. Please? Don't leave me alone, Dalton. Please don't leave me alone. I don't want to be alone again. Please. I can't. No. Just stay a little longer and I will find a way. Isn't there is so much blood trailing down the stupid rafters of this stupid fucking church. Fucking useless piece of shit, God. Hurts. No rest and we'll go. Just don't leave. Don't leave. Please. Send me off. No. No. I must listen. Duty. Fighting every step of the way, I slowly bend forward, I gently cradle his head. I don't want to, but I have to. For him. He asked. The ultimate freedom of choosing how to go. I must honor it. I cannot stop. He is in so much pain, I bite his neck softly. The punch sends me reeling. I don't understand. It was just an honest question. How can he behave so much like a heathen? I want to remind him of the love we must spread, but he punches again. His face is a mask of rage. I block and try to argue. Father, The next punch almost knocks me down. He is trying to kill me. I'm hurt. I lash out. Father recoils and holds his liver. I make a hammer with both of my fists and strike him down. He is insane. When I look up, my family only shows fear and disgust. My son, you must repent. Repent? Have you not seen with your own eyes? This is unfair, so unfair. They are all mad. Hypocrites. I run to my room, take a backpack. I leave home. The man with the crow feathers is charming and malevolent. He is the one I was warned against. A tool of the devil. Can you shoot? Yes. Then, you're in. I want to see with my own eyes, this punishment, this life of sins they spoke of. She killed Big Bert with a single strike, without even looking back. So beautiful, my angel of death. The others are running. They are fools. The end is coming for us, and this is our last chance to show some spine. She walks up to me, with those hands dripping with blood. Her nostrils flare in a gesture that seems human but is not. She stops. She will keep her word? A monster who keeps her word. I want to see. Everything hurts. I think they've come to kill me. I failed my new companions, failed to bring them their arms. The cultist opens the door and takes out a knife. I wish I had been stronger. He falls dead with a crack of bone and a twist of the neck. She is here. She came for me. She came. For me. 8 fangs pierce my skin. I shudder in pleasure, then something is made. I can feel her. I can get a glimpse of her emotions. She accepted me, committed herself to this. I was chosen. This is the most beautiful day of my life. The garden. Dusk's sun colors everything a light red. She is sleeping. I can feel her below me, somewhere. She is even dreaming. Loth inspects the target and turns, satisfied. There are 3 concentric circles on it, and only the center one is shredded by repeated impacts from the Wolf Slayer crossbow. The rest is immaculate. You're ready. I won't disappoint her. I'm strong now. I can help us both, repay the debt. She and Loth will be proud. I am part of a family, a strange one, but it feels right. I know who I am, what I do, and who I will fight for. I am dying. My only regret is the suffering it will cause. I love you, Ariane. I am sorry I must go first. Live and remember, Ariane. Live for us and remember. Forgive me. The bond snaps. It recoils like an angry snake and returns to its once surviving tether. It will kill me on impact, of this I am sure. At this instant, I cannot bring myself to care. A cloud of warm golden light stops the feedback. It slows down. Even then, the pain is so intense that I lose my mind. My talons dig in the thatch roof and tear it apart. My throat gets raw for screaming so much. Physical and mental agony rack my body and my mind. Excruciating. Endless. I cannot sob, I cannot even look down. Slowly, I crawl my hand back to my throat where I manage to close it. Anything to make it stop. Please just make it stop. Live for US? I can't. It wasn't meant to be. Not so soon. Not like this. Live for US? No. Yes. No. Yes. My arm falls by my side and I abandon myself to the fire coursing my veins and my soul. An eternity passes. Eventually, the burning tide recedes. I am left shivering on the roof. My face is drenched with blackish blood trailing from my eyes, my nose, even my ears. I feel empty. I am likely choking. I breathe great gulps of air that do absolutely nothing. Dalton lies next to me. I push him with my hand to wake him up. He doesn't move. I push again and again and again. Enough with the joke. Wake up. It's not funny. I push. Not funny at all. Have to breathe harder. It doesn't work. Choking to death. And so thirsty? The feedback stops. He's dead. I already know he's dead. I am just lying to myself like the sorry excuse of a failure I am. Need to bring him back. I can't leave him here. He's family. I take his body in my arms and jump down. There are moaning people around, searching with despair. My sudden arrival triggers something in them. They attack. I kick the closest one and place the body on the steps of the church. Then I turn around, grab and bite. It's weak, so weak. Barely any essence there. It takes me less than half a second to feed. No matter, there are others. They are condemned anyway. The next is an older woman with an embroidered cap. The next is a young boy with a scar across the nose. The next is an old sailor with teeth stained with tobacco. The next is a young girl with a scarf dyed red. And the next, until there are none. So thirsty, and so tired. My chest hurts. I feel hollow. Above, there are war cries and the sounds of battle. That means people who can help me. I pick him up and move through the twisted streets to another junction with more people. Every time I do so, I find a relatively clean surface and then devour the meager prize. Rinse and repeat. So little to take, but still better than nothing. The more time passes and the thicker the resistance is. Houses with their doors hanging open like tongues lolling from corpses. Moans. Somewhere, a fire. Smells of blood and offal. I do not know how long it took, but I am out, moving up a hill. There are more people than ever. I walk, stop, lower the body, stab and slice and feed, and I do it again. At the edge of Isaac's camp, the fighting is the thickest. I have to stop completely. Sometimes I have to move to fight them off even though I can no longer afford the energy expenditure. Thirsty, always choking. I breathe like the runner at marathon for the illusory relief it provides. More people come, a mountain of them. A sea. I am going to be overwhelmed. I find a tree and climb up. Place him as if he were having a nap. His head keeps falling to the side. I drop down. I keep at the edge of the herd like a circling wolf. It is easier to devour when the density is less. I thin the herd. Minutes turn to hours, and still I slaughter them, and still they come. There is no more sanity in them. The pain has turned them all mad. I am cold and methodical and keep doing it because they are in the way and because they are lost. Nothing matters. They never broke. At some point, I raise my eyes from my latest victim and everyone is dead. It takes me a full minute to find the tree and recover its charge, and then I walk to the line. Venet's men and Nasho Bazwar band have formed an impregnable fortress on a hill. A ring of corpses 3 men thick surrounds a small earthwork where the men stand side by side in unusual harmony. They are filthy, exhausted, and their gazes reflect a pain that will never leave them. No celebratory yells come with this victory. Loth is in the middle. He spots me and raises a gauntlet, then sees everything and lowers it. I walk up to him and the men part to let me through. I reach my friend and open my mouth, but nothing comes out. I don't know what to say. Are there words? Is there even one language on this sorry rock that can adequately transcribe this? Here, lass, let me take him from ye. Let me take care of it. Ye. He sobs. Ye go see Isaac. I tire, not this again. Let's go together. Come here, lass. Come. Loth does not pull me. He slightly nudges and I follow. I pass wounded men and others bawling like children. Some are looking in the distance, lost in nightmares of their own. Merit stands at the center of a circle of power, unconscious. Blood slowly drips from her nose. Venet's second is trying to bring some order around with a sonorous voice that wavers every 4 words. We get in the command tent. Loth deposits him on a low table, by the side. Isaac is here. His normally flawless composure is fractured by the ordeal he went through. Ariane, by the watcher. I am so sorry. I listen to the words. I understand the meaning behind them, but somehow, they don't translate into anything I can use. And there is no time. Ariane, You must leave with me. I blink slowly, then start breathing again. I slowly clutch my chest, where it hurts the most. Isaac winces. Why? The vampire hesitates, then realizes that I will not be moved unless he manages to convince me. It's about your master. He is back. Why does this even matter? I know. This time, Isaac is clearly surprised. What? How? I dreamt of it. It does not matter. This entire conversation is pointless. Behind me, Loth has brought water in a barrel. He is undressing and cleaning him. Sometimes, he stops to wipe a few silent tears. You dreamt of it? When? A few nights ago. By the Watcher Ariane, this is. No, it could simply be Nirari himself. Who knows with one so strong? Still, Ariane, you must never share this. Dreams of the future are. Well, you must not speak of this so casually. Whatever. In any case, your master has slain Wolfgang. Who? Wolfgang, the leader of the Knights on the American continent. I still don't understand and do not really care to. There must be blood around here. So thirsty? I just received the news by sending. His disciples are coming here looking for you. This doesn't make sense to me. Why? I am not sure. They may think that you helped him wake, or they could just assume you were a rogue. There could be many reasons and none of them good. It's a night squad, Ariane. You do not stand a chance. We must flee. I will take you back to Europe with me. We can protect you, I owe you that much. No. No? Really? Why? Is this about the key? I shiver. Of course, not you. Daft creature. This is not about any pitiful remnant. I must retaliate. Ariane, please, I beg you. This is your nature talking. I have no idea how much it must hurt, but you cannot stay. The Knights will find you. They will kill you. No. Please, Ariane, please, think. You do not want to die. This is not what vassals live for. They are here to keep us anchored, close to our living selves. He was here to better your life, not have you throw it away. I will go. Listen, someone who used the key is practically unstoppable. It would take a lord. It does not matter. There is a price to pay. Vassals are forbidden. They are not to be touched. He should not have taken that which is sacred. He should have left Dalton alive. You do not touch vassals. Vassals are the binds, the souls, the living ones. They keep us centered, and safe. They remind us of rules and of others and of why we maintain that balance. They must remain inviolate, or the price is too high, for everyone. Now all of those ascendancy imbeciles, every last member of this pathetic rabble, none of them will see their home again. None of them will leave these shores, no matter the cost. There will be retribution. It has to be so. Not one may live. 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 Not one. Chapter 47. I lean against one of the corners of the tent and breathe in vain. Isaac takes a step forward, as if to help, then shakes his head in shame. I will not go against direct orders from my clan. I cannot come. I am sorry. I care little. I don't need him to exert my vengeance. He is clearly torn, but it is not up to me to grant him forgiveness. We will all have to face the consequences of our decisions in the end. Isaac has not given up yet. He clasps his hands and bends forward in a strange gesture. When he stands back up, the guilt has been replaced by a new resolution. I can still help. Here. He walks to a large chest and takes out a box. It looks like an expensive jewelry coffer made of lacquered wood decorated with strange glyphs. I cannot feel magic coming from it despite its obvious nature. Isaac rips the wood apart with his bare hands. Beams and planes are shed from the structure until only a metallic frame is left. It consists of a handle stuck to a bar with a series of spikes branching out and curving back inward as if meant to encase a cylindrical object. The metal is silvery and the structure a bit rough, seemingly made in a rudimentary forge by an apprentice, and yet upon closer inspection, the surface is covered in hair-thin runes forming a complex lattice. Its aura is subdued and oppressive, evoking restraints. This was meant to contain the key, should the box be lost. It will disrupt its power on contact and quite possibly hurt the herald as well. Here, take it. I grabbed the artifact, cold and smooth under my fingers. Definitely used to restrain something until it is completely powerless. Dark basement. Broken arm. Broken leg. Dried blood. I shake my head and wince. I feel so weak. Things are seeping in. Memories that should remain dead and buried. I take the contraption away and turn to Loth. Alas, I'm coming. And so am I. Merit lifts the tent access flap, soon followed by Nashoba. She looks like death warmed over, while the shaman is the picture of concern. You don't get to tell me I can't come. They killed my... You can come. Friends. Huh? You are fine with it. Headache. What do I care how you spend your life? Yes. We still stand a chance to stop him if there is no one to slaughter. I split up the war band. They have orders to reach the nearest villages and have them evacuate before the herald and what is left of his men can reach it. Will they be on time? Yes. Those are their families at stake, daughter of Thurin and hunger. They will make it. Then I just need to stop him before he can get any more power. Yes. The visions say you are immune to his touch. I am, now that the only bond I had to a mortal is gone. You will have to face him alone. If we approach, we will die and feed him. I know. Tell me, shaman of the Choctaw, can you see my future? Nashoba lowers his head in disappointment. I cannot. Excellent. It means that this is not over. I dream. It is dark, not the embrace of the now familiar nocturnal veil, but the oppressive obscurity of the unfathomable depths. Pressure, crushing and unforgiving, bends my neck forward. There is nothing around but rocks surrounded by onyx sand as far as I can perceive, while above, there is nothing but the black of a fathomless canopy. The air, if it is air, is dry and scentless. Unspeakable things prowl lazily around, massive and contemptuous. Although I cannot see it well, I know that an obsidian obelisk lies before me, toppled. And upon it sits a mocking silhouette. It holds in its hand a strange skull and starts with a voice that nothing can silence. Rage, goddess. Sing of the rage of Peleus' son Achilles, murderous, doomed, that which caused the Achaeans countless agonies and threw many warrior souls deep into Hades, leaving their bodies to be feasted upon by carrion birds and savage dogs, all to fulfill the will of Zeus. The voice should have been solemn, even fearful, as befits one who implores a muse. Instead, it is ripe with bloodlust and the anticipation of the violence to come. Its owner leans forward until I look into eyes darker than even the abyss we stand on. It has been a long time, my child. I scowl in recognition. Tall, dark hair and beard, golden skin. The Lord of the Nirari looks as regal as always in a sand-colored outfit richly decorated with rivers of precious stones. He looks like a caliph holding court, at ease and confidant even in this desolate place. You. Yes, me, at long last. 10 years. 10 long years I have waited, watched, eager to see if the little princess would fall like the others. And now for the first time, you are on the path to self-destruction, consumed by the blackest of rage. Tell me, child, what hurt you so? What deeds tipped the scales? Who was your Patroclus? My words escape me, unbidden. I must answer. My vessel. Killed. How? Treachery. Lies. The herald took an oath to uphold a truce, intending to break it. And he did. He shot my vassal down like an animal. And this enemy, you intend to pursue him? I must. For all debts must be repaid? Our eyes meet. I do not submit. Yes. The monster stands up and moves towards me. The pressure I am feeling increases with every step he takes, but I hold. Defiant, still. You were never completely broken, even at the end. You share my curse now, the one I share with my better scions. He turns and walks away and I collapse with relief. We do not know how to lose. Very well then. A lesson, so that you may repay the debt. Listen well, Princess of the Blood. Listen to your master. An eternity ago, the greatest queen who ever lived created a set of elixirs, and those have found their ways to the hands of the mighty and the fated over the years. Those were elixirs of eternal life. A spark of the divine, with a twist, a curse to steal the vitality that we would no longer create. I, her son, was the first. I drank and the essence that became mine reflected what I needed and who I was. A warlord? No. A conqueror. Every new bloodline, every new creature you sample is added to your kingdom. It becomes yours. Drinking more makes you powerful, but the first one opens the path. I know this. You do not. You feel stronger, but you do not understand the power itself. Close your eyes. Focus. Go deeper. My perception of the world fades and the scene grows distant. I will guide you. Something drives me forward until we lurch and spill in my mental fortress. I end up sprawled on the grass of my strange garden, next to a rock in the shape of the first merman I faced. A presence behind me makes me turn. Master is here, though he is somewhat transparent like I imagine a ghost would be. I want him out, but I cannot push him away. Something stops me. My defenses do not recognize him as a foreign entity. He turns his gaze to the statue and smiles, then with a wave of his hand, an arch emerges from the ground. You have refined tastes, princess. Now, open the way. I must still obey. A distant part of me objects to his coming here. He does not belong in my sanctuary. He desecrates this land by simply treading it. That part is drawn by another that insists that this is the most natural thing in the world. Both voices are right. I arrive in a circular plaza surrounded by tall walls of tightly woven roses, in black, white, and red. The ground is made of polished marble slabs, but what attracts my attention is its inhabitants. The deceptively wide expanse is currently covered in statues, most white and standing, and a few colored and kneeling. Wherever I look, the open space widens, and more come into focus, only to fade as I look away. I recognize a few of them as people I killed, like the werewolf I faced in the Lancaster arena. Others, I do not remember. An impressive tally, little one. You may look upon them with pride. I do not believe I have seen its like since I sired Malakim. Those are your victims, yes, and those who paid you tribute, of their own free will. They are the sources of your power as my scion. Yours, for as long as you walk the worlds. Observe, a few of them already lent you their allegiance. Indeed, some of the constructs surrounding us are not only kneeling, they are colored while the others are alabaster white and they feel reactive. I recognize a few, including a very faint outline of Sinayat, Bingle, Nashoba, Loth, Naminata of the Ekon, whom I met just before being sent to fight in the pits. I do not understand. I did not make them submit. Oh, an interesting distinction. Go ahead then, make the others submit. This is not a matter of words. I focus on the deep part of me, the one that wants to subjugate, and bring it forth. The plaza below us pulses once and something stirs in the depths. Its size defies comprehension. Above us, the purple light of the Watcher shifts. Submit. The command spreads outward like a wave. The ones I killed kneel and turn, but the ones that gave me their blood of their own free will stand up and fade in the background. Worse, those who kneel are not colored. Master chuckles and shakes his head in amusement. One of his hand holds his elbow while the other caresses his beard. Tell me, princess, from whence stems power? Say, for the president of your old nation. The mandate of the people? And for the king of the Britons? I don't know. Divine will perhaps? Such complicated mental gymnastics, such elaborate concepts. So many theories to justify one eternal truth. No matter how strong an idea, or how beloved a sovereign, there will always be dissidents. How are they kept in check? Military might? Yes, overwhelming martial strength. Those, he gestures around him, are not yours because you are a vampire. They are yours because they faced you and lost. Because you vanquished them. You are very close. Try again. I bring the deeper part of me towards the surface again, but this time I infuse a truth in the words, my own belief that they shall submit by the most ancient rule of them all, the right of the victor. Submit. The statues kneel, this time with color. They raise their hands in surrender. Their powers are mine because they have no choice. Once more, those who gave me blood out of their own free will remain standing. I do not understand. Patience, little princess, patience. You remind me of a desert raider I once knew. You only understand conquest through violence. Those allies and supplicants who helped you, they flocked to your banner. 2 of those were used to save my life. And they strengthened you by doing so. We vampires, we conquerors, are not mindless killers. We have our codes and our honor, our vassals and servants, our clans and communities. Those who follow willingly may do it for safety, order, power, vengeance, for as many reasons as human nature allows. What matters is that they follow. Try again. I understand, I think. They trusted me, some trust me still, to have mastery over those gifts they offered. They are not mine because I crushed them but because they acknowledged me as one deserving of tribute. Loth loves me in his own way. Bingle sacrificed himself out of duty and friendship. They did not do it because I defeated them, but because they believed in me as a person, enough to expose themselves. I take a deep breath. I know what I must do. To conquer is not to destroy. To conquer is not always to stand alone. That is the difference. Submit. Some kneel because they have to, some because they choose to. One by one, all the statues before me bow and color springs from the ground to cover them. Then, their powers unlock. I have never felt stronger. I bask in the ensuing bliss. I could send a werewolf flying. I could crush steel. I could outpace the fastest stallion. It feels amazing, more than that, it is a deserved reward. Master walks among the statues like a collector inspecting his latest acquisitions. The mortals do not amount for much, and the mages you cannot use. Yet. The werewolves are nice touch, you can draw on their savagery to fight longer, heal faster. The Ekon bloodline is renowned for its ability to hold pain and the thirst at bay, a necessity for those adventurers. The Lancaster are peerless when it comes to charm. You even drained a rogue nataless. I am impressed. Their dumb physical strength will serve you well. Oh, and a few stranger creatures. Why, I have never met those spirits of hunger. Degenerated native people perhaps? I will have to come back at some point. The Fey Prince and the God-touched powers are locked from us, unfortunately. Only the inherent strength can be yours. Well, this is a pleasant surprise. You have been productive. His inspection over, he returns by my side and places a hand on my shoulder. I feel the steel grip behind the light touch, and I am not scared, just a bit pleased at his approval. This is a dream. Many of my gut reactions are subdued. With this, you have access to 4 of the 14 bloodlines I know of. I granted you this lesson as a favor, Princess of the Blood. See that it is not misplaced. The shape of him evaporates in black vapor until only an 8-fanged smile remains, then this is gone too, and I wake up. Pain. Thirst. Claustrophobia. The sensation of choking. I gulp great breaths of air that do nothing but satisfy a vestigial reflex. My claws scratch the sarcophagus inner padding until I grab the handles and pull them. I jump up and fall on the side, coming to my feet in an instant. Around me, dry earth and roots topped by a very low tent. Loth stares at me with a blank look from behind a tiny workbench. He has never looked more tired. No immediate danger. Clear exits. No need to fight or flee. I clutch the center of my chest to try in vain to ward off asphyxiation. He came in my mind. He came in my mind and did what he wanted, and I did nothing. Nothing to stop him, even if he only distance saves me from him anyway. If I were by his side, I would just be a bumbling and love-struck wreck. Pathetic. Maybe I was lucky. At least I got to be myself from the onset. Now I just need to find somebody to eat to end this unbearable pain, and I know just the man. In silence, I attach battered pieces of armor to my stained dress and affix my half-mask, leaving the mouth free. "Lass? I'm ready. How are we doing?" He considers the lump of metal in front of him and removes his hands from it. Just as I recognize the object in front of me, its aura pervades the small space we stand in. I don't know how long it took for him to finish it, but I would presume every waking hour since I fell to slumber. In typical Loth fashion, he took the problem and analyzed it, then found a solution that would satisfy his need for violent revenge. Since it is too risky to get close, my friend made a shell. No, calling it a shell does not do it justice. He made a shell-shaped object that is more magical concentrated spite than steel. It is made from darkened metal engraved with vengeful runes pulsing a deep red like a wound leaking blood. Lines of glyphs crisscross it in every direction like taut barbed wires. Loth's creation looks like what it is, the fruit of patient malevolence, made for the exclusive purpose of inflicting pain and death. Whispers at the edge of my hearing promise dark retribution. My friend lifts hollowed eyes to me. "I'm ready. Let's go outside." We leave and I find myself in a depression surrounded by pines at the top of a hill overlooking a large valley. Dried needles and fallen cones cover the ground and let out a pleasant scent that offers a sharp contrast with the tensions of those in it. There are no fires, no gear and no horses around, only two exhausted mortals lying on the ground next to the covered form of Loth's steel cannon. Nashoba and Merritt turn around and see me but do not react. Everyone is on edge. I lean down by their side. If they notice me trying to breathe, they do not comment on it. In front of us lies a vale with an open ground around a tiny stream. Muskogee houses and structures dot it with a few tilt fields in the distance. Signs of life are everywhere, but I see no locals alive or dead. In the central plaza, the Herald is in an animated discussion with a handful of subordinates including the tower mage. The evacuation was successful. Merritt managed to track that bastard and we used our mobility to our advantage, says Nashoba in English. I turn in surprise to the mage. Her eyes are bloodshot and her traits drawn, but there is no mistaking the pride in her voice. That asshole left a lot of blood behind. I scraped it off the pier and made a compass. Excellent. Loth, are you opening? Yes. When? Right now. You two, get out. The two mortals stand up without a word and run away in the opposite direction. Listen, lass. As soon as that shell is off, I'm getting the hell out of here. You're the only one who can stand in front of the key and live. The rest of us would just feed him more power. I know. Loth stops and turns to me. In his eyes, there is not a hint of doubt that I will succeed. I won't say good luck. I'll see you on the other side. Now, stand back. This is my moment. Loth removes the tarp from the gun's mull. I take position by his side. Betrayed. He murmurs. His huge hands cradle the patiently made shell almost lovingly. The terrifying thing pulses in rhythm with his heartbeat. Bloodied. By oath broken and words made void, one was taken from us. He slides the shell in the gun. I can see a reddish glow flowing down its length as the whispers grow louder, then with a final thunk, it nestles deep within, quiet and ready to be unleashed. By the old laws, by our own honor intact, we come to claim our due. He adjusts the gun with patience and a deceptive calm. The atmosphere is so heavy that I stop breathing again. I know that I am witnessing something unique, a master at work for a once-in-a-lifetime performance. Your guilt and debt set ablaze, our vengeance expressed. He walks back and grabs the rope that will release the primer. And made manifest. He pulls the cord. The cannon vomits its horrifying payload into the world. The shell screams its way down like a chorus of furious demons, A symphony of nightmares that fills my ears with its insane voices. I grit my teeth before the onslaught and watch the shell impact, then detonate. One instant, the village is empty but peaceful, the next, it is simply gone. The shield used by the tower mage makes as much difference as a teapot emptied on a house fire. The clearing is obliterated by a deafening explosion that sends pieces of rocks and soil high into the air. The shock wave extends outward and levels the entire forest in a wave of fire and destruction. The trees closer to the epicenter are simply torched. Not a single needle remains attached. And the fire keeps burning. First white, then an unnaturally dark red, the raging inferno emits heat that hits me like a wall even hundreds of feet away. I raise a hesitant hand to painful ears and return a few drops of dark blood. For a solid minute, I ignore Loth's retreating form and stare into hell itself. How could anything survive that? And yet, a dark silhouette soon shows against the incandescent background, shambling forward mindlessly. As it exits the area, the flames gutter and die like a man losing heart. The hexed shell did its best. Now, dinner is served. I sprint forward with incredible speed, faster than I have ever been in my entire life, and yet with absolute confidence in my steps. Over stumps and trunks and upturned earth I go, never slowing. My hair clings to my skull with the wind of my passage, and in only a few heartbeats, I reach the herald. As I watch, blue links and patterns do not knit flesh, but make it appear from nowhere. The aura I feel is incredible. It buffets me like an alien wind. I grab my prey from behind and bite down to devour. Ah! It burns. I spit blood and teeth, only for it to regenerate and melt again. I fall backward and crawl away, mewling in pain. So much power. Too much. Like kissing a thunderbolt. And despite that I feel strong, so strong. Just an instant, but it felt like drinking from master. I calm myself, letting the lava-like substance drip away from my charred lips for a few seconds, but soon the sounds of the herald regenerating behind me forces a new alarm. No. No. I will not let go. This is nothing. I draw on the deep and cold will inside to stand up and fight. My claws catch a half-formed arm and pull it out of its socket. The crack of ruptured ligaments is accompanied by a muffled scream that spurs me. I grab the other arm and the herald's aura explodes outward. Oof. I am pushed backwards, only to roll on the ground and sprint back up. The scrapes, the pain, nothing will stop me. This is to the death. You. This is all your fault. Screams the herald with a broken voice. His flesh is now intact, and I notice in passing that he is naked from the waist down. The tattered remnants of his hunting jacket cling to his form while hot tears run down his face. It was supposed to be my moment. I don't understand. What in the seven hells are you? Your death. I slice and stab him 3 more times until his cries of pain turn to pure rage and he strikes. For a moment, he is faster than me, perhaps even as fast as Jimena. And he misses. His fist goes wide and his body collapses in the ashy ground. In an instant I am on him. I take his head, twist left and right and throw it away. I take out my blade and slice great swaths of fabric from his enchanted vest. I need that thing off. Once more I am blasted away, but this time I roll and barely dodge a strike to the side before retaliating. The herald only screams incoherently at this point. Why won't you die? I block the exact same strike coming from the exact same angle and counter-attack with a blade to the stomach. I jump away and gut him like a fish. His yells of agony sound strange in the deadened air. He grabs a fallen pine and tosses it, hoping to crush me perhaps? I step to the side to avoid the improvised projectile. I have been me for a decade. I know how my body works. He is just an inexperienced mortal playing demigod. For a good minute, I dance around him and use my experience to inflict terrible damage. I find that cutting off limbs works better than piercing flesh as the ki regenerates it entirely. It takes more time and hopefully, more energy. Our contest is an unequal ballet between a wasp and a drunken, Bumbling fool. He just won't stay down. I maim and amputate and slice, and still his body is reformed in instants. Changing gear, I boot him away and to the side, then I jump on his back and bring him down. I savage his back. I know he will heal these wounds, but this is therapeutic. Once more, his aura explodes outward, but this time I cling to his jacket, tearing it to pieces. A second later, his actual body explodes. When I land and stand back up, there is something different. He is taller, paler, and his face is no longer fully human. His aristocratic beard is gone as well as his lips and nose. Only pale skin below 2 slits are left. Even his eyes shine a strange blue. I eliminated pain, vampire, and the key will repair my mind. It's only a matter of time now. He is also fully naked. I search the rag in my hand for a pocket and find something cylindrical, but the contact is peculiar. I feel my fingers closing on it and yet it has no texture, no temperature, and then it is gone. "Looking for this?" asks the herald, amused. In his hand, the key appears. "We are one now. You can no longer claim it, assuming your kind ever could." I need it. I jump. He dodges and I follow up by cutting off his leg at the knee. The resistance is higher, for some reason. Is his body tougher? I block the following counter and am smashed against the ground once again. Stupid strength. I dodge a downward punch that buries itself in the earth and slice one of the arms on the way out, then I move around and grab the key. At the same moment, his aura once more explodes and I am flung away. Annoying insect. The herald is whole, and yet I can spot the barest hints of black veins under his skin, perhaps exhaustion or perhaps a remnant of yesterday's transgression. His aura is more and more manifest, buckling and thrashing against his control. He may be insanely strong, but he cannot bring this power to bear. It is not for you to take. My foe seizes the key and places it at the top of his forehead. The artifact digs into his skull with blue tendrils and latches, looking all the while like the world's most disgusting unicorn. He rushes me and slaps the earth in front of my retreating torso. I dodge by the barest of margins to counter again. Dodge. I jump left just as an insane power erupts from his palm. With a roar, blue energy digs a deep furrow into the earth, smashing rocks and sending toppled trees spinning in the air like pins. Pain. I grit my teeth and claw his face, blinding him. Pain. Pain. I check my right arm to see it now stops at the elbow. Where is my bloody? Oh, here it is. I jump forward and catch it, then place the mangled limb against my stump. Come on. I feel a rush of wild energy and the need to howl, to hunt. Bones bound, muscles rejoin and skin knits before my very eyes. Where are you, harlot? Only one. The herald's eyes widen in surprise when he sees me healed. I open and close my hand around the dagger. Everything is fine. It doesn't hurt one bit. For the first time in 2 nights, I smile. You still do not understand. I rush forward then back to avoid another shock wave, then forward again. My enemy screams in frustration while I dive under and jump above bolts of blue energy. His face melts under the intense power, only to reform again and again. Each time, the traits are more inhuman, more cruel. His teeth are now completely triangular. Great black arteries snake under his skin, leaving the flesh around blemished. Finally, I manage to sidestep a 2-handed vertical strike and find myself behind him. Now time to dodge. Massive bone spikes grown from his back in every direction. I did not manage to leave in time and to pierce my enchanted bracers as if they were butter, while the last digs deep into my belly. Pain. I fall back and block a backhand blow with the dagger. The sharp blade cuts off the limb once more. Reprieve. Just need a second to. This has been far too annoying, I do believe I will take it now. The herald extends his hand and grasps. I feel nothing myself, then the dagger jolts. I watch powerless as Jimena's gift is dismantled, deconstructed before my very eyes. Interesting. The herald lifts his fingers and each tip is replaced by inches of silvery blades covered in runes. Not good. The blackened veins expand even more and I can feel his aura stuttering, but that won't help me if I am dismembered in the next few seconds. I turn and run. You won't escape me, you hussy. Ha 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 ha. Not escaping, just looking for. Ah. I turn my back to a large vertical rock upturned by Loth's cataclysmic shot. The herald smirks and jumps. He stole my technique. I throw myself backward on the ground, trying to ignore the wound in my stomach. There is a single instant of faith when all I can see is the smoke-filled sky, then the stars are blotted by a body passing overhead. With a grunt of anger, my foe's steely claws bury themselves deep into the stone, and stay there. Cracks form almost immediately, but I am faster. I dig talons into his wrist and break it apart, then grab the severed hand and use it as an improvised weapon. The first swipe guts him, the second blinds him, while with my right, I reach behind to grab Isaac's present and place it against his exposed spine. Then both of his hands explode. Silvery shrapnel hit me. Agony. I scream and roll on the ground. Take them out, must take them out. I remove a piece of smoldering metal from the meat of my shoulder, then another from a calf, another from my right ear. After two more I finally stop panicking and stand up. The herald is holding his head and yelling atrociously. The keening sound should be a torture, but in truth, it is music to my ears. You. What have you done? If he had not turned off the pain, he would know that his organs were formed around something foreign. Now with a recent change to his body, I would be surprised if he could tell how many spikes grow out of his back. Energy explodes randomly around him. As I watch, his right leg bursts and reforms as a grotesque parody of an insect's feeler. Both his hands grow mismatched claws and tentacles. He finally remembers the cause of his woes, however, and charges me with the strength of despair. I surprise him by charging as well. He is barely faster than me now, and just as he strikes, I dig my left foot into the ground and boot him with all my strength. I remember the maddened charge of the nataless rogue and pour the same mindless energy in my kick. The herald lifts off and crashes against a rock, a fallen pine, a burning stump and another rock. He sees me approach and tries to stand up, in vain. His mutated leg does not find enough purchase to pry the spikes off the stone they are embedded in. If you had not looked down on humans and their form so much. I raise my hand and plant my feet in the ground to resist Nora explosion. It barely slows me down. You would not have fought like a toddler. I duck to avoid a bolt of energy. You would not have paid so much for an oath broken. I grab the key on his forehead, dig claws in his chest to find Isaac's suppressor and place both feet against his chest. And you would not have destroyed your organization and yourself. With a ghastly sound of broken flesh, both objects break free of the form encasing them. I am Ariane of the Nirari. You were dead the moment you killed my vessel. The steel traps spine close around the key and the connection breaks. Energy arcs from the herald's prostrate form, raking him and the ground. My foe lets out a last, keening yell, and in mere instants, he is but a scorched husk. I did it. The link is severed. He's dead. I won, and paid the debt. Now I just need to return the key of Beria for safekeeping. I know it should be the best decision, then something whispers into my mind. I look up. When did I ever think the Watcher was far? He is close, so close. A tendril descends and brushes a strand of hair away from my cheek. The eye croons and then asks like a very young child. Give. No words are actually spoken. The requests appear in my mind instantly with a purity of meaning that the spoken word can never hope to match. Give. This is not an order, not even a demand. There is something so innocent and beautiful about the simple request, so humble. I know I could refuse without consequence. There would not be a grudge. I raise the key. The closest purple limb closes around it, two things that do not belong here. And then the blue construct is lifted in two. I blink. Space and reality hiccup for a moment. I frown, trying to remember in detail what just happened but cannot. I could not process what just occurred. My mind is simply not equipped. What I know with certainty is that the key is gone. I look up. The vampire Esther is as distant and mesmerizing as always, but for the first time, I feel something I never expected. Approval. Toad continued. Thanks for listening.